Welcome to the Honest Media. Today is Thursday, August 24th, 2017. I am Tom Pappard, your host, of course, joined by Craig Chrysler. This week we've got a lot to talk about. The Wall Street Journal, of all places, is finally waking up to their own fake news and admonishing their staff for covering Trump in such a poor manner. ESPN is defending firing poor Robert Lee, saying that they didn't fire him because his name was Robert Lee, but then they kind of admit that, yeah, they fired him because his name is Robert Lee. The alt-left has made a Walking Dead-esque bat and is planning to go use it to bash skulls at a Patriot rally, which they call a white supremacist event, and Trump is blaming the debt ceiling on the people who are actually to blame for it. It's been a very interesting week. Craig, what did you make of that Phoenix rally before we get started?
I thought it was amazing.
See, I think it was too. I think that is the energized, amazing Trump that made so many of us like the guy to begin with.
Yeah, it was classic Trump, no script, just saying whatever he wanted.
And what I thought was interesting was he kind of started with the script, and a lot of people thought it was going to be, there's nothing wrong with a scripted rally, but he started over here, he goes over here, he starts over here, and then everybody saw him pull the piece of paper out of his jacket, and it was like, oh, it's about to go, it's about to change. And one thing that I found really interesting that not many people have picked up on, but during the Phoenix rally, that when he was lambasting the media and really tearing everybody a new one, that was the first time he ever publicly named the alt-left terror organization Antifa. Antifa has now had...
Antifa!
Yeah, Antifa. And they have now... There's a petition to get those guys named a terror group. It's been signed over 280,000 times.
Well, it needs to happen. I mean, they've been nothing but violent for 2 years now, everywhere they go.
Well, and I was on KQAM radio this week, on just before the rally, actually, the morning of the rally, and he asked me, what do we make of Trump supporters? What do we make of Trump saying these things and getting the media so riled up and condemning Antifa and saying that there's trouble on both sides? How are we okay with that? And I think a lot of people don't realize exactly what you said, which is the alt-left, the Antifa, these people have been beating Trump supporters. They've been burning Trump hats. They've been attacking us in the streets. Deplorable, just to give an example, Mike Cernovich's Christmas celebration in D.C., they were threatening to use acid attacks and gas to keep people from going there.
Milo at Berkeley, where they destroyed tens of thousands of dollars.
I think it was hundreds. I mean, yeah, exactly. So these people have been harassing Trump supporters for 2 years almost 2 dang years.
And Trump supporters haven't been doing anything but defending themselves.
No, exactly. And so to say that the alt-left, that Antifa, the people, I mean, we're going to bring up the picture later. They have a bat that looks like it's from Negan in The Walking Dead. To say that these people are totally blameless, it's just nutty. It's just lunatic.
Yeah, and him calling them out, saying they're equally as bad as the skinheads or whatever. They are. They're worse. They've done a lot worse stuff.
Absolutely. They've been doing it a whole lot longer.
Yeah.
And as we said last week, if nobody had cared about the skinheads, if there was no coverage, if everybody just looked the other way, they would have been irrelevant, as they generally are, except for in the media, which is another thing Trump did at the Phoenix rally, is point out correctly that the media is to blame for a lot of the divisions in society, because they hold up the alt-left. CNN says the alt-left Antifa is a group that seeks peace through violence, which I think is ISIS's slogan. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and they were completely fine with that.
Oh yeah, peace through violence, it's great. It means anti-fascism, which is basically just anti-Trump at this point. Yeah. And to them, that's just wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then they
imagine if we had that slogan.
Right, peace through violence. And then, I mean, the Atlantic mainstream media publication, which, by the way, said that solar eclipse was racist because it didn't hit enough African American communities. But you've got the Atlantic that embeds themselves with Richard Spencer, the white identitarian leader. I mean, it's bonkers. And then we didn't do that. We didn't do nothing.
Yeah, we're just living in some sort of alternate reality at this point, I think.
Alternate factual universe, I think. But so this is one that I found, I almost find it encouraging, but it's not going to nothing will change at the Wall Street Journal. Nothing will change at any of these places. But this comes from the New York Times, and I've seen the leaked email myself, but it sounds better if I say this comes from the New York Times. Wall Street Journal editor admonishes reporters over Trump coverage. The Gerard Baker, editor-in-chief of the Wall Street Journal, faced unease and frustration in his newsroom over his stewardship of the paper's coverage of President Trump, which some journalists say has lacked toughness. So this is the New York Times slant on this. That's why I always like to get the New York Times, because it shows people the kind of mindset these people come from. To them, it's okay to turn we are a commentary show. We can have fun. We can let loose. But when you are doing straight news, you're supposed to remain unbiased, theoretically. You're supposed to do facts, not opinions, old-fashioned dragnet style, just the facts, ma'am. And you're supposed to be, it's like Fox, fair and balanced, which Fox is neither of those things. But that's what you're supposed to do. And so this is what the editor, Mr. Baker, had to say. This is in response to somebody's article. Sorry, this is commentary dressed up as news reporting, Mr. Baker wrote at 12:01 on Wednesday morning to a group of journal reporters and editors in response to a draft of a rally article intended for the paper's final edition. He added a follow-up, could we please just stick to reporting what he, meaning Trump, said, rather than packaging it in he's using the big journalist words. In selective criticism is what he's getting at. Several phrases about Mr. Trump that appeared in the draft of the article reviewed by Mr. Baker were not included in the final version published on the journal's website. Which, I find this, two things. And then tell me what you think. But this is an interesting development because the media, no longer able to get leaks from whoever it was, Reince Priebus at the White House, no longer able to get leaks from the White House, they're now just leaking what their editor-in-chief sends them. It's like, what is the matter with these people? It's totally insane. And then the other thing is, the Washington Journal has not been kind to Trump at all. None of these people have been kind to Trump. And you finally get a guy saying, journalism used to have standards. And then they demonize him. They say he's horrible. They leak his emails. What are these people doing? That is their boss. When we come back after the break, I want to hear from Craig on that. We've got a slew of other things to talk about. Like we said, ESPN has delivered the most confusing statement about Robert Lee that anybody's ever seen. The alt-left is now, they're posting their bats with nails in them to Twitter. It's like they have a Negan complex. All right, we've got to take a break. You're watching The Honest Media. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I am still Tom Pappert, your host, still here with Craig Chrysler. We were talking about the Wall Street Journal, their editor-in-chief actually demanding some journalistic integrity from their writers. And of course, the writers' response to this is to immediately start leaking emails to the rest of the media, and apparently in protest of the writer. What do you make of this?
Well, typical left, they're all set on self-destruct mode. Do they want to get fired? The guy told them to do their job instead of what they've been doing for a year and a half, which is just stupidity. So
commentary disguised as journalism. I love that statement that he said in his email, because that is just exactly what it is. It is just, sorry, this is commentary dressed up as news reporting, which that should be CNN's slogan at this point. Commentary dressed up as news reporting. And that is exactly right. It is what their boss asked them to do. It's like your boss comes in, says, "Hey, quit texting the competitor across the street pictures of how we make our hamburgers." That's not helping anybody. And then it's like, whatever. All right. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Imagine a giant news outlet actually giving straight news.
Oh, it would be
instead of commentary these days.
I think they would go out of business, because I don't think anybody wants that anymore. That's the sad part. But now this is another interesting one from the New York Times, and I just want to pick out a couple of the quotes that the New York Times put in this piece, and it's called, "Trump calling journalists sick people puts media on edge." These sick people who their boss tells them to do their job, so they start leaking their emails. That's not sick. That's just standard modus operandi for these people. That's okay. But so these are a couple quotes from, Trump said during his rally, "I really don't think they like this country," meaning journalists, meaning the media who continue to do this insane
They obviously
smear
don't
campaign
like
against
having a job.
They don't like that either, right. So these are a couple of the things that individuals said about Trump's line in this. Let's see. Tuesday's remarks struck a tone that alarmed journalists more than usual. Mark Sullivan, a media columnist for the Washington Compost, called it the most sustained attack any president has ever made on the press. These guys apparently don't remember Nixon. To see this sort of attack coming yet again from the president is deeply disturbing, said Courtney C. Radsch of the Advocacy Center Committee to Protect Journalists. It creates an environment in which attacks on the press, both verbal and potentially physical, could become common. And this is something that the left doesn't understand, that there is a difference between me reaching over and strangling you and me saying, "Craig, your beard doesn't look very good today." I mean, they see no difference with that. Words are violence to the left. Mm-hmm. And they see nothing wrong with that. That's the whole point of hate speech. Words are violence. Words can hurt you. Apparently their moms never told them the little nursery rhyme, right? Okay, so this is another one, After Tuesday's event, journalists expressed their alarm on ABC's Good Morning America. Cecilia Vega said on Wednesday that this was incitement, plain and simple. This one felt different. It really feels like a matter of time, frankly, before someone gets hurt. Gee, someone gets hurt, like maybe the guy who got bashed over the head and he has a permanent scar across his head by an Antifa member, when the media is going around saying it's okay to punch a Nazi and anybody we don't like is a Nazi. Mm-hmm. When the media, CNN, goes and says if you support Trump, you are tacitly supporting white supremacism. Yeah. And of course it's okay to punch a Nazi, punch a white supremacist, whatever. This is another quote. Jim Vandehei, co-founder of Axios, which is basically Politico Part 2 without the baggage, said on Twitter that the remarks were despicable, extremely deceptive, dangerous. He referred to Daniel Pearl, the Wall Street Journal reporter who was kidnapped and killed in Pakistan. Mm-hmm. Pakistan. Is that like? I remember. Is that like the 51st state? Because I don't understand how they're bringing Pakistan, this horrible guy who was hurt by terrorists, the United States of America. Trump doesn't like Pakistan, or maybe they missed the Afghanistan speech a few days ago. But
these people are just so delusional.
To think that Trump is the one inciting violence when the media says he punched a Nazi. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's rich.
It was great when the crowd started chanting CNN sucks. So.
And then, of course, Trump has to stop and say, yeah, CNN's bad, but really it's all of them, which is the truth. Uh-huh. And, then in the back, I was talking to somebody on Facebook during this rally, and he was watching it on BBC. And he said that as soon as Trump started attacking the media, BBC cut the feed.
Yeah.
And Trump, of course, in the middle of the rally starts saying, look at all those red lights go out. Look at the on-air lights being turned off. Yeah. But the beautiful thing is, millions of people, literally millions of people, watch the rally on YouTube, on Trump's Facebook, Trump TV. So we don't need the media anymore. But
Fox News replayed it. So
well, he complimented Sean Hannity. They had to replay it. Uh-huh. Sean Hannity is back to he is gone past what Bill O'Reilly used to do. Sean Hannity is now the king of ratings once again. Mm-hmm. He has made Fox News the king of ratings. For a while they were losing to Rachel Madcow.
Yeah, that's.
How? Yeah. How could they do
it? Sad little man.
She goes by Sir, so it's okay if we call her that. Yeah. She is gender fluid, I think.
Yeah.
Nobody
knows.
I don't know how often you got to get your gender fluid changed, but I do need an oil change, and I'm going to ask them about it when I go. So this is the end of Vandehei's quote. To say reporters erase America's heritage, don't love America, turn off cameras to hide the truth, are to blame for racial tension is just plain wrong. So you give a platform to radical white supremacists. You give a platform to the people who say, I bathe in male tears, kill all white men. Those are hashtags on Twitter. I'm not making this stuff up. They give platforms to these two people. They're literally the two radicalist fringe groups of crazy people in the country. Both sides are equally insane in very different ways, mind you. But they're equally insane. The media gives these people a platform, and we just that is not bringing racial tension to a head. I mean, it's...
Yeah, the media's created all this racial tension stuff, and Obama did a great job of starting it. So
these are a couple other just random tweets that are coming from quote unquote journalists. You know, most of them have the little blue tick, so it's okay. So it's okay for them to say whatever they want on Twitter. Trump is tearing up the First Amendment. Don't downplay this. He is running against the press and endangering journalists. That is what these people think. I thought it would take a lot longer before I came certain that Trump was going to get at least a couple journalists murdered.
Oh, God.
We can hold our leaders accountable and still love our country. And we do. I really think they don't like our country, Trump says of the news media. He must know different reporters than I do. I mean, this is the delusion.
Well, if you've been watching CNN or MSNBC or any of them garbage outlets, it's obvious they don't like the country.
They certainly...
I don't know what country do they want 1950s Russia?
They've been shilling for North Korea a lot lately.
Yeah.
I think maybe they like the dictatorship of North Korea. So we've got to take another moment off. We've still got a lot to get to today. We've got to talk about ESPN and poor Robert Lee. If you want to come to Kansas and work at a TV station, we'll hire you, Robert. Then, of course, Trump blames the true people behind the debt ceiling crisis. Canada, of all places, is waking up to the idea that illegal immigration may not be so good. We've got a lot of interesting news coming your way. We'll be right back on The Honest Media. Welcome back to The Honest Media. So as we've been saying earlier in the show, everybody by now knows the name Robert Lee. That's not Robert E. Lee, by the way, the Confederate general who previously fought in, I believe, somebody call me on this in the comments if I'm wrong, but who fought in the American-Spanish War, was a decorated general, did wonderful things. But this isn't about Robert E. Lee. This is about a guy named Robert Lee, who is a sports journalist, sports reporter for ESPN, or should I say was, because they have pulled him from the lineup. He is no longer going to be part of ESPN because of his unfortunate name. Now, the biggest irony, if you haven't heard of the story, it's an Asian guy. I don't think he's a blood relative of the Confederate general. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't done the Ancestry.com thing yet, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But this is what Breitbart.com is reporting. ESPN president tries to say network didn't pull Robert Lee over concerns his name would offend, then admits they did. ESPN's president John Skipper sought to straighten, what a great name, John Skipper, sought to straighten some things out on Wednesday regarding the network's decision to pull Asian American broadcaster Robert Lee from a game that he was scheduled to broadcast in Charlottesville. That move, made due to concerns that Lee's name, similar to that of non-Asian Confederate General Robert E. Lee, would offend some viewers. Now, his statement goes on, given the amount of media attention being generated by one of the countless routine decisions that our local production teams make every day, I wanted to make sure that you have the facts. There was never any concern by anyone at any level that Robert Lee's name would offend anyone at the Charlottesville game. Among our Charlotte production staff, there was a question as to whether, in these divisive times, Robert's assignment may create a distraction, or even worse, expose him to social hectoring and trolling. Since Robert was their primary concern, they expressed... So, are you following this, Craig? There was never, at any time, any concern that Robert Lee's name might cause a distraction. So our local team was concerned that Robert Lee's name might cause a distraction. Do they not see... Does nobody proofread this? I don't get it.
It's ridiculous.
I don't
I'm trying to wrap my head around what they're doing.
Is there no adult left at ESPN? Are they all a bunch of middle schoolers just running amok?
Well, weren't their ratings tanking terribly? For like the past year, 2 years.
Thanks in no small part to their shilling for football cuck.
Yeah, and an anti-gun agenda.
Right.
At plus.
It nobody wants to watch this garbage. We want to watch football. You're not even a fan of sports ball in any form, but people who watch ESPN, by and large, they're not there to get social commentary on the issues of the day.
That's the last place they should be talking about that stuff.
Exactly. Our production manager here was making jokes. It's called the Entertainment Network. They don't have to be real journalists. But something that I find interesting is over 90% of ESPN, whatever you want to call them, journalists is probably too kind of a word, over 90% voted for Hillary Clinton. These are politically active people.
Well, it sounds like you got a bunch of beta cuck males working at ESPN. That's why nobody's watching them.
It makes you wonder, is there anyone left in the media except a couple guys on Fox, literally 2 guys on Fox News? Is there anyone left in the media who doesn't suffer from Trump derangement syndrome? I don't know.
I think Trump just brought out the derangement that was already inside of him, and now it's on full view for everybody.
Now we can all see it, and that is one great thing. Trump is kind of the litmus test. If somebody, you don't have to support everything Trump does. You don't. But if you're going to, oh my God, he's a Nazi, he's a racist, literally a Stalin. If that is their only reaction, if it's just this visceral hatred and blind rage, not to ever take that person seriously on anything in life. But whereas if they, I've talked to people who maybe they don't, I would say they're underinformed. They don't understand the merit of some of Trump's policies, so therefore they don't like him. That's different. That's reasonable.
Most people just don't like him just because
it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool not to like him. It's mainstream not to like Trump.
They were told not to like him because blah, 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 blah. They don't even know.
And, we should talk about that because I think we're coming up at least to the halfway point in the segment. And we should talk about that before we get to this next article. Because I feel like so much on either side of this whole, we have to protest. I feel like so much of it.
What are you protesting?
They don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's college kids who they meet out. They meet after class and they're like, "Dude, are you going to the protest?" "Yeah, man. Are you going?" "Oh, totally, dude. What are you wearing?" "Oh, dude, I found my dad's black bandana and my little brother's baseball bat, dude. I'm gonna take both." I don't feel like
I got a cup of urine I'm bringing with me to throw on somebody.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
I found my mom's mace. For when she goes on walks at night. I'm going to bring that too. I feel like so much of it, and on either side, frankly, I feel like which there isn't really. The either side happened at a flashpoint in Charlottesville. Nothing ever happens with the right. We have jobs. We don't protest.
Yeah.
But on both sides, specifically mentioning Charlottesville, so much of it I feel is just trendies going out, "Oh, we got to protest, we got to do this.
I'm going to look cool on my Facebook page
exactly.
and my Twitter and Snapchat.
All my friends are going to think I was so cool because I was there.
Look what I can do.
I'm hashtag resisting." Yeah, I don't think that there is any.
They don't even have a clue what they're resisting.
No. And you talk to these people. InfoWars does it. Mark Dice does it. It's always hilarious. You talk to these people, and they literally can't tell you.
Yeah, what are you resisting? Economic prosperity?
Yeah.
Stupid.
I'm resisting the stock market going to its highest numbers in history.
How dare it?
I'm resisting record low unemployment. Yeah, it's totally nutty. And one thing that we would be remiss if we talked about is Trump did make fun of Antifa. He said, that it's too hot for them in Phoenix. They come with their black masks and their clubs, Antifa. And so he's
doing what they should be done. He's making a joke out of them because they are a joke.
They are a joke.
Yeah.
But they're beginning to be an increasingly violent joke. In Phoenix, they had rifles. Phoenix is a very pro-Second Amendment state. Now, the one solace I have is I doubt many of these guys know what to do with the rifle. I don't think they practice at the range for when they've got to go fight the Nazis. But these Second Amendment hating losers, they're all getting guns and they're trying to intimidate Trump people.
Which that's kind of worrisome.
It is. And I'll tell you another thing that's worrisome, because at these events, at these rallies, especially now that he is president of the United States of America, these are strictly gun-free events. You cannot bring your self-defense weapon in there for a very valid reason.
So all the peaceful people that are inside come out and then they're
disarmed
met by a bunch of crazy lunatic armed Antifa people.
Exactly. And we know these people are deranged. In the next segment,
the cops are actually doing their job with that one. They were smoking them out.
They did a phenomenal job. I don't think I can say the joke, but one of them is definitely not going to have children. Definitely not going to have children. When we come back, we're going to show you exactly what Trump supporters are going to walk out of these rallies and see. It's exactly as bad as you think it is, folks. It is Negan, but with an arm that may not be strong enough to swing a bat. All right, we've got to take a moment off. You're watching The Honest Media. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back to the Honest Media. We were just having a little bit of fun during the commercial break there. Now, this is, I just want to pull up this picture real quick as we talk about this, because this is, look at this. This is the guy's tweet. He's now deleted the majority of these, but this is the guy's tweet. Alt-left leader vows to, quote, crush skulls with baseball bat during a Patriot Prayer rally. He says, the Patriot Prayer rally is a Nazi white supremacist event. I'll be there to crush some Nazi skulls. And, I mean, that bat, what is it in the show, Lucille? That's like Lucille's cousin right there. That thing has giant, pointy, rusted-looking nails shooting out of it at every angle. Like, I think he put his entire semester-long woodshop class to work on this guy right here. I mean, I would not want to walk out of a Trump rally and have that coming at me.
Was this the same guy that was caught with the picture he's wearing panties? Or is it a different guy?
That's a different guy.
Yeah,
Talking about that in the break. There is actually, you can find it all over Twitter. Jack Posobiec put it out. There's one of these Antifa guys, maybe not the one with Lucille here, but there's one of these guys who he had some very strange undergarments on. We'll just put it that way. You can find it on Twitter. Jack Posobiec. Look it up. Highly encourage you to. What is that? If you can tell us what it is, I would love to.
And
know.
was this guy, the cops just let him walk around with this thing?
Well, no, he is planning to take this to the next rally. To a what they're calling the Patriot Prayer.
Because
rally.
back when the cops were doing their job or allowed to do these jobs at the rallies earlier, they wouldn't even want to take sticks to these rallies. They were taking sticks away from people.
Oh no, because they wouldn't even let you have a sign if it was on a stick, because they know
that's
what you're going to do.
That's how Stickman got famous.
Exactly,
yeah.
That's how he got through the cracks. But this is what I just want to read a little bit of this InfoWars article, because this is what they have to say. A self-proclaimed alt-left leader has vowed to use a baseball bat embedded with nails to crush skulls during a Patriot Prayer peace rally set to take place in San Francisco this weekend. That's the day after tomorrow. So God knows what's going to happen. The Twitter user, who goes by the handle at IBPrinceJordan, we don't know if that means irritable bowels or not, tweeted, the Patriot Prayer Rally is a Nazi white supremacist event. I'll be there to crush skulls. He repeated the threat in a series of other tweets that have been deleted because he realized what a bad idea this was. We can only assume. I can't wait. Gonna bring this nailed bat for some Nazi pounding, read one. His Twitter bio reads, alt-left resistance leader, Iraq war survivor, cute communist, and Catholic. How many of those things are contradictory right now?
Yeah.
What?
This guy's living in a video game, apparently.
I think he
if
thinks
he wants
this is
to pound
Grand Theft Auto.
Nazis, he needs to go play Wolfenstein or something, because they're all gone, bud.
Yeah, they're very, very few and far in between. Not many of them speak German, the ones who are left. Now, this is, according to the article, what makes the threat even more absurd is that the organizers of the prayer rally have specifically said its aim is to, quote, promote peace, love, and unity, and racists are not welcome.
Peace through violence.
Yeah, so therefore bring Lucille. I hope there's no guys named Glenn there.
Yeah.
That is the absolute state of the left. That it's peace rally. What is it again? Peace, love, and unity in San Francisco. This could be a hippie event where you got to wear flowers in your hair to get in, for all this guy knows. But it is a white supremacist event. Going to bring Lucille and show him that I will shut that blank down. Right? It's nuts. It's nuts.
Well, thank goodness for CNN, who deemed any sort of unity rally a white supremacist march now.
Well, any kind of rally on the right at all. This actually reads that I didn't know about this. This is a new update. This story is only a few hours old. CNN even changed a headline at the request of Antifa to disguise the fact that the group routinely engages in violence. And CNN, of course, had the headline earlier this week, I'm not sure which, but they had a headline that said, "Peace through violence. What is Antifa?"
Yeah.
And why are we giving attention?
CNN is literally promoting violence, saying that, yeah.
CNN is ISIS. The hashtag was
is.
right. They are terrorists. They are creating division in our country.
Hopefully, if we can get Trump if Trump deems Antifa a terrorist organization, CNN will be taken off the air.
Well, the White House,
That'd be amazing.
That would be good. Or at least somebody's going to, I mean, nobody's going to go embed themselves with ISIS and make, this is what CNN did for Antifa. Nobody's going to go and make little propaganda videos for ISIS and say, ISIS isn't bad, they just believe in fighting the West, imperialism.
We're just chopping heads off
They just
here.
believe in fighting imperialism through violence. It's basically fine. That is what CNN has to say about Antifa. And as we said earlier, the petition had over 100,000 petitions people signing a petition on whitehouse.gov. It has to get a response from the White House. So whether it's going to be from Trump or whether it's just going to be White House says blah, we don't know. But over 100,000.
I need to go sign that because we need millions.
It might be over 300,000 now.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, which was either last night or the night before, it was at 280,000 signatures, more than twice, almost 3 times the required number. So you can't say the president is alone in his obsession with the alt-left. The alt-left is infamous around the country. They are hated universally. Now, I want to get to this. This is a quick little story because at the rally, we keep going back to the rally. Trump, John McCain has a new name. One vote! One vote! Somebody actually went to Wikipedia during that rally and changed John McCain's name to One Vote.
Oh, really?
Because Trump said he was asked not to use anybody's name. And so he called them One Vote and the other senator. Just brilliant.
I like how he went there and just crapped all over them.
Well, we would have...
How has this guy been reelected and reelected and reelected and reelected for...
Well, we would be on the way to a better health care if Dr. Kelly Ward, who is a phenomenal person in Arizona, if she had been able to beat him. But you know what the media did? They do their typical smear campaign. They say she was a conspiracy theorist. She appeared on Alex Jones. She did this. She did that. She's a terrible person. She's not a real doctor. She's a lunatic. All of the typical slander that they always do if you get a person who's on the right. And so she could have unseated John McCain, and then we would be getting rid of Obamacare. Right, it would be gone. Obamacare would be gone.
Didn't McCain claim he hit the wrong button or something?
Oh, I didn't hear about that. We're not supposed to criticize people for this, but the guy just had major surgery on his brain.
Yeah.
Some doctors have said it is it's unlikely he is in his full mental capacity. And
I don't think he ever has been.
Yeah, somebody said, "Oh, I didn't know he had brain cancer back in '72 or something." But I don't wish cancer on anybody. It's a terrible thing to go through. I've seen it bring people to the brink of death. But maybe he should be taking some time to be with his kids and his grandkids instead of ruining healthcare for the rest of us. We've got to take another moment off. You're watching The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert here with Craig Chrysler. Welcome back to The Honest Media. Now, as we were talking about, Trump is placing blame where it needs to be, whether that is John McCain or, say, Mitch McConnell. This is a report from Bloomberg. Really, again, we can read these things directly to you. Sounds better if we say from Bloomberg. Trump blames debt ceiling mess on GOP leaders in Congress. President Trump said he asked Republican leaders in Congress to include a measure to raise the U.S. debt ceiling in a popular veterans bill, to avoid a mess in which they have to rely on Democrat support. Because the Democrats, for those playing at home, remember when Ted Cruz shut down the government, Craig? Remember how the Democrats said that Ted Cruz was basically literally Hitler for shutting down the government, Craig? Remember how the Republicans even were turning against Ted Cruz for shutting down the government because it was such an irresponsible thing to do? Remember when the government went out and paid people to bring tape to cordon off national monuments because that is what closing the government looks like, paying people to...
That was ridiculous.
And eventually it came out that 80% of the government was still operational. And it was a total mess, right? It was a mess. It was a mess. So, the Democrats were very opposed to that. But now they're going to shut down the government because they don't like Drumpf.
They have to have another sit-in.
Yeah, they have to hashtag resist. That's what's going on now. So, This is what President Trump said. I requested that Mitch McConnell, and Paul Ryan, not Paul Rhino, Paul Ryan, tie the debt ceiling legislation into a popular VA bill, which just passed for easy approval. They didn't do it, so now we have a big deal with Dems holding them up, as usual, on debt ceiling approval. Could have been easy, now a mess. And this is something that we've seen a lot of. We gave them the majority in the House, in the Senate. We gave them the presidency. We gave them 2/3 of all state legislatures. We gave them 2/3 of all governorships. The Republican Party, we're like this close from being a one-party state right now. But the problem is, that's really not true. Because we've got these people like Mitch McConnell, we've got these people like John McCain, we've got these people like Paul Ryan, who on CNN just recently in his town hall, he actually said this: we need to expand, not verbatim, but he actually said these sentiments. We need to expand the definition of mentally ill to anybody on the far right so we can take away their guns.
Jeez.
That's Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, claims to have read Ayn Rand. I don't buy it for a second. Maybe he read the Cliff Notes in high school. That's about it.
Yeah.
That is what is ruining.
These guys ain't Republicans or globalists or who knows what.
They're Council of Foreign Relations sitting on globalist shills who are tearing down the country. I mean, that is all there is to. They're going to make us lose a Republican majority because people are going to not go out and vote for these clowns. And of course, they've got the money that it's going to be very hard for people to primary them. Now, I talked about this when I was on KQAM with Andy Hoosier. I suggest anybody here locally listen to it. You can also find him on Facebook, The Voice for Reason. But this is what we talked about on the radio. Trump, and I think this John McCain, one vote! I think this is a good indication that he's going to do it, because what I would love to see the president do is come the midterm election, come 2018, when all these globalist shills have to get reelected, I hope Trump goes back on the road, does rallies 5 nights a week, and says, I endorse Kelly Ward against John McCain. She's not running for that, John McCain, blah, blah, blah. But as an example, I endorse Paul Nellen against Paul Ryan, and just goes state to state to state to state and endorses all these rhinos' opponents. That would change the dynamic, because people are going to vote. Look at what happened here in Kansas. We had Ron Estes versus some nameless guy who was getting millions and millions and millions of dollars. I think it was Thompson. And everybody was saying, because of all these millions of out-of-state money, of what is probably Soros money, Thompson's going to win it, and Kansas is going to have blue. Trump did one tweet the morning of the vote. Estes won. We now have Congressman Estes.
Yeah.
Very good man. Very smart man.
That would be fantastic if he does do that, and I bet he probably will.
I'm hoping that this is the beginning
Especially
of it.
Paul Ryan. That guy has to go. I mean,
Paul Ryan,
he's been
John
terrible.
McCain, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham. These are all people who, in Paul Ryan's case, never deserved to be there. Never should have been there.
Yep.
And these other guys' case, they should have retired a long, long time ago. They have no place in the populist version of the Republican Party that we've got now.
Yeah.
I hope the president kicks them out.
They haven't been working for the people for a long time. They've been working for whoever's giving them money.
No, exactly. I mean, you get these people, the Republicans are no better than the Democrats, and you get these people on the Democrat side who, they live in multi-million-dollar McMansions, and yet they're bringing in what is it, like 20 or 46K a year?
Yeah,
for
it's
a
pretty
congressman?
weird how they get paid $40,000 a year, and somehow they're worth $50 million.
But it's all just speaking engagements, and it's intelligent property management. They say this stuff, and they expect us to believe it. It's not corruption.
They're exactly the same as Nancy Pelosi.
Exactly.
They're no better than her.
They're exactly the same as Maxine Waters. John McCain is just, he's a globalist shill. So
Yeah.
is Lindsey Graham. So is Paul Ryan. Possibly the worst. Fun story. Accidentally, when I was at the RNC, Paul Ryan brushed my shoulder. This guy had security all around him. He's got tunnel vision. He won't talk to anybody. We are not in the ground floor. We are in a prestigious part of the RNC. I don't know how I got to be there, but and he just comes walking by me, taking these like 4 foot strides, so he doesn't have to talk to anybody. Looking down, tunnel vision like this. That is this guy. That is all. That is exactly who Paul Ryan is. Not going to engage with anybody. Security is going to rough you up if you do. Cares about nothing but himself. Terrible, terrible person. I hope he gets kicked out of there faster than anybody can see it. Now, before we have to go to break, I do want to discuss this because I find the title, we don't have to go far into it because it's The Guardian, and it's like 20 pages of fluff here. But it's interesting to me. This is the title of the article. The new Obama, will Abdul al-Sayed be America's first Muslim governor? Everybody playing at home is like, wait, Obama's not a Muslim. People got in trouble for suggesting Obama was a Muslim. Like, what are they doing here? What did they mean by this? I'm not saying Obama's a Muslim. I'm just trying to figure out why this guy, a Muslim mayor with horrible, horrible, horrible policies in Michigan, is the next Obama. Was he born in Kenya too? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. We've got to take a moment off here shortly, but I just keep an eye out for this guy. He's going to be the next globalist pawn in the destruction of America. Abdul el-Sayed. Michigan, think about Dearborn. Think about the Somali colony of Dearborn, Michigan. Dan Lyman of Infowars.com has warned us about this guy on this very show before. Keep an eye out for him. We've got to take a moment off. You're watching The Honest Media. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert here with Craig Chrysler. Now, this is what we call our lightning round. It's where we look at this big stack of headlines that we didn't get to because we spent too long talking about the last ones. So we got to try to get them all in one segment. Congratulations, viewers. This is always a fun experience when we accidentally do this. Now, this is a fun one. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister cuckold of Canada, Canada's cuckold, frets. This is the headline from Reuters. Canada frets over possible huge surge in asylum seekers. Sources. Not only that, they're getting a lot of people crossing the border illegally. What was it you were saying before, Craig?
Oh, it's all fun and games till 7,000 Haitians show up.
Sounds about right. I mean, that's what they're kind of dealing with.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, they say, yes, come Americans, come Mexicans. They have a deal with Mexico for them to flee to Canada now. Come, Canada will take you. Canada, hey, wait a minute. We have immigration laws, and you got to follow them. Y'all got to follow these laws.
This is starting not to look too good.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned 7,000 Haitians. The number of migrants illegally entering Canada more than tripled in July and August, hitting nearly 7,000 Haitians who face looming deportation from the United States when their temporary protected status expires in January 18, accounted for much of the inflow. Now, I mean, we act like this is the media, acts like this is so horrible. It's like they were here on a temporary visa. They're not going to renew it. They got to go. That's how it works. We're back to having borders again and having laws. Sorry, liberals. Sorry, illegals. Sorry, temporary visa residents who aren't able to get your visas renewed. Whatever we got to call these people. You should have done it. If you can't
Hopefully
say you can't
Trudeau's
stay.
coming around.
Oh, he's not coming around. He's saying what he has to say to get reelected. I have no doubt. Now, this is a fun one, too. We were going to go talk about Hillary Clinton. Sorry. Something in I got a frog in my throat. It's also over 70.
Green ball come out of your mouth.
It's also over 70 degrees in here, and I may pass out shortly.
Yes.
I have allergies. Democrats fret as Clinton book rollout looms. Democrats reveling in President Trump's plummeting popularity, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they're terrified Hill Dog's book is going to sink whatever progress the DNC, the Democrats, may or may not have been able to make because she is such a toxic person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad when your own party is saying that they wish that she would, quote, move on. I mean, get over it, lady. That's essentially what these people are saying. Now, part of this book, of course, has been revealed. Hillary Clinton called President Donald Trump a creep, says her skin crawled during the second debate.
I think her skin's always crawling.
I was going to say, that is big talk for coming from someone who smells like sulfur.
Yeah.
I've seen the video. I mean, I can't imagine.
I'll just keep her out here. Let's
that is the best thing for the ride, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keep Hillary Clinton, keep her front and center. Let everybody see her. Get her out doing speeches. Let us all smell the rotten eggs.
Yeah.
That would be beautiful. Best thing she could do for the Republican Party. The Republicans should give her a paid position at this point to just keep doing stupid
The
stuff.
DNC is already doomed. That the guy that's in charge of it now is even worse than her.
He's basically a radical. I mean, the guy is Saul Alinsky without the charm. I mean, it is comical, this guy. And of course, this is what she's mentioning. She released this as an audio tape, by the way. You're going to be able to listen to Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. You're going to be able to listen to her say that her skin crawled. I wonder how long this audio tape took to do. I mean, it has to have been just hours and hours to get
several months, I'm sure.
Months of work because it's like
between her being drunk and coughing and who knows what else.
Let me get my Rubio water. Now the next one that we want to get to. This is actually we're gonna leave that on hold for just a minute. I want to leave that for the end. Cloudflare CEO Matthew Prince. This is from Breitbart.com. Tech gatekeepers shouldn't ban content, and of course this is about, for those playing at home, the Daily Stormer. Legitimate neo-Nazi website, terrible website, even when it was accessible on the clear web. I would never suggest somebody go to it. The man is a sick individual, the guy behind it, who I won't even name. I in no way endorse this guy. He's a sick SOB. He should go away and stay on the deep net where he belongs. However, if you're going to have all of the internet coming against you, you had GoDaddy cancel his hosting. You had Cloudflare, which is a major internet security company, say, we don't want anything to do with you anymore. He was driven off of the ClearNet. He now has on the dark web that you have to access via Tor. He is right there with the child predators and the drug sellers. That is where this guy is. Maybe that's where he belongs, you may think. However, if we're going to let these private companies, which thanks to their partnership with the government have a fascistic control over the internet, if we're going to let them decide who gets to be on the internet and who doesn't, what's next? What's next? Is it going to be Breitbart that doesn't get to be on the internet anymore? Is it going to be President Trump? Is it going to be the next Trump in 7.5 years? I mean, who knows? There's a slippery slope. You can say that's a fallacy all you want. Look at where we are in society.
Yeah.
Tell me that's a fallacy. All right, now here comes the part of the segment where we tell you some good news, some stuff to be happy about, now that we've briefed you on the neo-Nazi happenings of the day. This is from, of course, Infowars.com, once again. Poll. Vast majority of Americans support free speech over political correctness. A new Rasmussen poll has found that the vast majority of Americans support free speech over political correctness, and just 8% think ensuring people aren't offended is more important than the First Amendment. That's 85% of respondents agreed that giving people the right to free speech is more important than making sure no one is offended. Isn't that comforting, Craig?
Yeah. It should be 100%, but that's
it really should. Well, I'll tell you.
That's good in this day and age.
You want to know who these other guys are?
People are more concerned about their feelings than they are anything else.
Now, this is, okay, so you mentioned, it should be 100%. And I agree completely, it should be 100%. These are the interesting results of a survey of Reddit's r/Socialism board. Socialism, in America, socialism, democratic socialism. It's okay if you put a Democrat in front of it. And I don't have an article to show you for this because I just went and I got the findings myself. It's on Reddit. You can go look it up. It's Googleable. I think Infowars has an article on it. I think some smaller people have an article on it. But this is these are the stats. Reddit's r/Socialism survey. 48% of the users are unemployed. 61% of the users live with mommy and daddy. 14% of the users support free speech. Yes. That's who they are. Yep. That's the 15% who don't support free speech. They're socialists. Yeah. They're commies. It all makes sense now.
Democratic socialism.
It's all okay.
Different than national socialism?
Like a couple degrees. And this is, let's see if I can find the other numbers here.
So a bunch of unemployed, just total idiots.
Total idiots. Yeah. And one other fun fact about these individuals, which they hate the term individuals, this autonomous collective.
Comrades.
The comrades, about these comrades. 46% support violent riots. So, yeah, that's the 15% who don't support free speech.
Well, bring it on, basement dwellers.
There you go, right? Yeah. Bring your grandpa's rifle that you found in the basement that hasn't been cleaned since 1960.
Yeah, they haven't been in the sun for years.
You know, this is a good thing that they're getting out. It's called vitamin D. We're doing a wonderful thing, enticing them to riot. This is the last story that I've got for you, and it is a wonderful opportunity to laugh at leftists. And again, we don't have an article for this because I did the math and I refuse to show anybody their GoFundMe page because that would be morally reprehensible. Now, a former CIA undercover operative, a woman who goes by the name of Valerie Plame Wilson, is crowdfunding to buy Twitter.com so President Trump can be banned from the platform. She needs, how much do you think she needs, Craig?
I have no idea.
$1 billion. She needs $1 billion to buy Twitter.com so she can ban President Trump. She has currently raised $40,000, or about 0.004% of her intended goal. I did the math, and I am no math person, but if the math is correct, she could have the amount of money she needs as early as 2428 AD.
Nice.
Could be good. She raises $6,666 a day right now, which we know. You can't make this stuff up. All right, this has been a fun show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tom Pappert here with Craig Chrysler. We will see you again next week on The Honest Media. Same time, same place.